Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Autumn Championships for Age of Empires 3. ESO-community.net, we host seasonal tournaments. This is our Autumn tournament. I'm joined by Chrisie. How are you doing?
I am doing great.
Chrissie, I heard some things. I was bamboozled by the Bramboni when I heard that SomppuKunkku is planning to force a blind pick for this first match against his opponent, Yarom. Yarom. Am I there? Yarom.
Perfect.
All right. I don't know. I can do it, but I don't necessarily know if I'll be able to keep it up. But it looks like Jerem has, I think I'll call him that because it's easier for me, has clicked in with the Portuguese here. Somppu, though, has Ottoman, and if he really wants to, he can take it all the way to a blind pick, where if they cannot agree on a civilization, they will whisper civilizations to me, and then they will lock in with those civilizations, and I will confirm that they said those civilizations or not, if they did not. And I think that's going to be really interesting. It's a dynamic that's not explored very often, because almost all of the time, people do land on a matchup that they're happy to play, whether it be a mirror or some other. But what do you make of this?
I don't know, blind picks can be really messy. It can hugely favor or disfavor one player or the other if they get like Aztec versus Japan or something crazy like that.
Yeah, this fine.
I don't know, I'm not sure how Otto against Portuguese is. Map is Kamchatka, right?
At least it was. I should be hopefully downloading that. But yeah, Portuguese versus Ottoman, at least on RE patch, my knowledge of this was that it was perhaps quite Ottoman favored given the speed of their FF and how many units they can get out, how quickly. And, you know, Portuguese is one of those civilizations that does not have that 3 villager shipment, so they are, you know, behind from the very beginning of the game in terms of economy, and then as a result of that just aren't able to mass as many units, and as a result they do fall flat on their face, I think, against the Ottoman. However, this is not Robot patch, this is the ESO-community.net patch. And Ottoman, of course, not quite as strong as they were on RE patch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Autumn Championships from ESO-community.net. My name is Interjection, and I'll be casting this series between Yarom. kind of screwed that up before we even started. Yarom the Brave, aka Jer, or N30 Jerem, I think a lot of people know him as in the Twitch chat, versus SomppuKunkku. We have landed on Portugal versus Ottomans. And pretty interesting matchup, don't you think? I was surprised that this actually happened, given that Somppu, on the scheduling thread, said several times that he was going to force a blind pick. Doesn't look like that was the case, unless this is a matchup that he's just completely happy with.
I think he just really likes playing Ottoman against Portuguese.
Yeah, he's okay with that. What do you think?
I think it's probably still in favor of Ottoman, even on this patch, although obviously not nearly as much as it was on the original. Yeah, we'll talk about that
in a moment, I think. But spawning in the north of the map in the colour red, we do indeed have SomppuKunkku representing Finland, playing as indeed the Ottomans, as you mentioned. His opponent will be playing as, of course, the Portuguese. Here we have him in the south of the map, playing as indeed the Portuguese. Let's take a look at all the treasures they will come across. I always want to keep tabs on that early on. 75 food, that's going to be a nice one. And he's not going in that direction, but certainly, and there isn't actually a treasure in the direction he's going in. Normally there's two treasures sort of in this location, one where that 75 food is and one is not. He does, however, find the goat and now heads towards the 75 food treasure and should have no problem getting that. The Red Explorer, of course. That's good. Map is balanced. Cool. But the Red Explorer, of course, building the trading post, so is not going to be getting any exploring done, no treasure collecting done. Doesn't look like we'll have a contention there. But 75 food, Portuguese is going to be really pleased about that. And we'll see what he does intend to do with it. Probably age up a bit sooner, I would hope. But, yes, you were mentioning that this match might still be Ottoman favored. We'll have to see how it turns out. But certainly on RE patch, I think people will remember how strong Ottoman really was. You know, the speed of their fast fortress. Very, very fast. You know, can get up about 7 minutes and then have falconets and a whole bunch of janissaries out by 8. And of course they have those Mameluke shipments as well. Very, very strong civilization. But since then, Ottoman have been nerfed a bit, so perhaps that will not be as strong. Abbas guns not as powerful. Janissaries, I believe, were nerfed as well, but you mentioned to me earlier that actually that nerf was reverted. There will be patch notes.
Dire nerf was reverted or just slightly undone?
Yeah, I'm not actually certain what a lot of the changes are. I ought to really check that out. But I do find it interesting to kind of not know. It's nice to explore that when a game starts. I guess that's my excuse. But yeah, Ottoman's not going to be as powerful as they once were, but perhaps still powerful enough to take on Portuguese.
And Europe is getting some pretty nice treasures here, actually. He got a 75 food and he's now getting a 40 wood treasure
as well. Yeah, Villager does come out, and he's... Well, I don't necessarily know. He probably hasn't seen that wood treasure. There's no way he's going to pick it up with the Villager anyway. Anyway, using the Villager to herd there, and they were getting a bit close. 2 Explorers are now nearby. This is where...
Ottoman did get a DP, of course.
Yeah, so he spent a long time. That was why he didn't get that 75 food treasure early. Otherwise, he probably would have raced to the middle as well, where some of those bigger, nice treasures are, right?
Mm-hmm. And Somppu is already aging. Eurum is going to click up very soon.
Yeah.
I would assume both are aging up with the Quartermaster. Yeah.
Yeah, that 75 food, by the looks of it, helping him out get up a bit faster, so that is nice. But, yes, Portugal, their villagers now cost less food, 90 food. And that will certainly give them a bit of extra resources by the time we get up to the, of course, colonial and fortress ages. And as a result of that, maybe now Portugal is able to have more units and will better be able to more adequately deal with Ottoman. I'm really interested, actually, to see how it pans out. This matchup is actually something that I do think is quite interesting. And Kamchatka, what a map. We haven't actually seen this one for a while.
In the tournament yet, I think.
Yeah.
But Eurum actually did not send an Age 1 card. He is going to save this card so he can send 2 cards in Colonial, which as Portuguese makes a bit of sense because your Age 1 cards really aren't that good. And actually has a lot of goats as well. He has 5 already.
Yeah, and that's just...
all 5 of them are safe in his base, unless this house gets sieged down.
On economic units, we can see villager population actually very, very even. And that's, because his opponent, Ottomans, the villagers train slower, but also he does get a 3 villager shipment, which of course he did definitely send, as we can see. And Portuguese does not, but over the course of the game, of course, Portugal villager count will go up enormously. Looks like Somppu now up to the next stage, and going to be building a trading post out of his 400 wood.
Yeah, and probably a barracks, I would assume, or maybe a market, depending on what his plan is.
Yeah.
Judging by his deck, I would say it's most likely a fast fortress.
Oh,
or maybe even fast industrial.
Yeah, I think it's probably... I mean, you could make the assumption that it is a fast industrial deck. It certainly has capabilities for that. But given that Ottoman, he's going to fast fortress, right? Like, he knows most of this game is going to be played out in the fortress age, so every card... that you can, the maximum is 10. He's put 10 Fortress Age cards in his deck, but because, Industrial Age cards are better, he's also put some Industrial Age, it's for the Fortress Age he most likely thinks he'll be hanging out in, I would say, from looking at this, but certainly has Industrial capabilities as well, because he's not going to be playing Colonial, he knows that, and this deck signals to his opponent that he is not going to do that at all. But yes, both... The trade is very interesting. I thought perhaps he might also get Stagecoach, was one of the options out of that remaining 200
very
wood.
smartly stealing one of the DPs, though.
That's really nice, because I imagine, if he does that means that the red player will be less likely to want to upgrade it. But yes, the barracks has come down. He has not gotten a stagecoach, and he has not gotten a market that you suggested. Instead, it is the barracks there, and I imagine we will see some janissaries coming out during transition. Wood treasure? What is he going?
Yeah, 90 wood in the bottom left of the map.
Oh, and that only speeds up this agenda, right? Because now he doesn't have to slow down for 100 wood when he gets pop capped. He's going to be able to maintain creating military units, and that is definitely going to be really, really nice for him. Portugal, the onslaught is coming, and he's started with a stable, Chrissy. What do you make of the stable start here?
Whew, against Ottoman, that seems ambitious to me. Although he did see the deck, of course, so he knows there's almost no chance that this is going on in Colonial.
Yeah. What if it were, though? Like, you put this incredibly fortress and industrial age deck, and your opponent thinks you're going to be doing something, in those ages, but actually you're not doing a colonial agenda.
Chance in your base at 5 minutes.
You only need a couple of cards to do it,
Where are these coming from?
Yeah, like, he's got all the cards in the colonial age shipments, so he could have done it, but obviously the later game would be sacrificed a bit if you did want to send all this card. But anyway, not the point, doesn't matter. What we do see, though, is a stable, and by the looks of that, if we take a look at the units in queue...
an outpost.
An outpost?
I guess this one's the shipment point.
Yeah, this is going to be an incredibly fast fortress then. Like, he values, by the looks of it, a forward spawn point for every military shipment coming forth. This is going to be an onslaught of the highest magnitude by the looks of it.
Almost finished in his age up.
Yeah, I think he's only able to do that, right? He's only able to do this, Chrissy, I think, because of that 90 wood. Maybe that's what pushed it over the top and made him decide to put that down. That's definitely quite a lot of extra wood, and then maybe that will alleviate some of the pressure on having to build houses. 3 janissaries are going to take on the Explorer. Eurum has seen this now and will be retreating, but looks like Somppu bringing in this scout and is not going to go into hand combat. I thought that's what that was for, but does get away. But Eurum has seen it.
very close to the Ottoman player due to the fast age of being chosen by Portugal, while Ottoman is choosing for the 4 Hussar.
Yeah, here we go. 4 Hussar coming into his base. Do you think they're going to find that TC wagon? Is that what they're looking for?
He's gonna get it.
No, he's not going to get it, but he's certainly looking for it, perhaps. You know, doesn't want it to go too far or something like that. Either way, is going to harass some villagers. 2 stables coming out of Yarom. That is interesting. I thought that was for perhaps...
Dragoons, I guess.
Yeah, Dragoons. Well, oh, here we go. Do you think he's going to bring it down?
Damage.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come in, and it might even go down while it's building.
Yeah, he really needs to get that up because... Oh, and it goes down. That's absolutely huge. That's another sort of town... Obviously, you could put 10 villages in that and call Minutemen as well. Minutemen really, really valuable because when they die, you know, they don't give XP to your opponent or anything like that.
And they're also just quite powerful. And also, he has Colonial Militia in his deck, so the power of that shipment is vastly decreased now.
Yeah.
The player immediately, first shipment in H3, bam.
Yeah, there it is, Falconets. That's exactly what I was expecting, to be honest. And this is exactly what I was expecting. He trained a few Janissaries in transition, as many as he could get, and of course sent the 2 Falconets as his very first shipment, and would use those Janissaries that he trained during transition to defend them with. Here we do have some Dragoons coming in. He's making use of the military units, but now Red does know he is away from home, and by the looks of it, is going to push in as a result of that.
Just go in. You see these 10 Dragoons in your base, so just go in.
Yeah, you know he's not there, right? You know you need to start, like, you need to give him a reason to come back. He's going to take out that Explorer, and also, I think, another contributing factor as to why the red player is now pushing was probably because he was waiting for a batch of 5 Janissaries and that 8 Janissary shipment as well, by the looks of it. He needs adequate support for these Falconets. Veterancy coming in on those Jans, and the Dragoons I don't think are really going to be able to do very much. They don't take too much damage from the cannons. That's not what they have to be worried about. But it's, yeah, exactly. It's those Jans right there really, really scary. Cassadors do come out. Are they going to take a no, they did not get dumpstered on the face by the cannons. But this is really awkward for Yarom. How does he deal with these cannons with just the Dragoons?
Well, you hope the Falconets start sieging your TCs. You put little TC and you very, very slowly kill the Falconets.
Yeah, he needs to be really careful here because, you know, he doesn't have a Falconet shipment.
Or doesn't he might get a couple of shots on this one, the Falconets.
Did go in, but nice control from Sompu and retasking the cannons and the Janissaries to fight the Dragoons when they come in to get a shot off. Taking an unnecessary volley there on that. And 3 Janissaries coming in and Yarom able to pick up and manages to take out a few. He really wants these Cassadors! Oh, baby, this is no... Oh, he does not want that.
The bottom to see the Dragoons going in for a flank. He might get these Falconets now.
Can he get them both down? He's got one almost full life. He does, and he's not overkilling it either. Nice unit control.
Yeah, these Falconets are dead. He's losing a lot of Dragoons for him, and it's totally worth it. If he can get these... Now he needs to run away.
Now he's now probably safe, right? Because now there's no Falconets. There's nothing to deter those Cassadors from just coming in. And as a result of that, now the Janissaries do have to leave. There are no Falconets to deter the Cassadors.
To deter.
Yeah.
And 5 Abus is actually the next shipment, so pseudo artillery kind of.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like, they are kind of artillery, but they're not Falconet artillery. I think these Cassadors will be absolutely okay. They do have multipliers against Dragoons, however, just need to be careful there. But is going to have to sort of kite backwards here, and I think do you think he has enough Abus guns to keep this up?
The problem is, of course, the Cassadors outrange the Abus, unlike Falconets, so they can actually somewhat fight.
Yeah, but he's taking a lot of damage there.
A lot of damage, though.
Yeah, he needs to focus down those Abus guns with his TC and maybe a couple Dragoons if he can sneak some shots in there, and with his Cassadors as well. But he's taken a lot of damage on those Cassadors. Well, he's lost quite a few of them.
He just needs to survive here, though.
Yeah.
Once Otto runs out of shipments, he has the Spahi left, but he doesn't have the food to send that. And he still needs to send the 1,000 coin in order to send the Mamelukes. But Yarom is actually sending 1,000 coin. Maybe he is going for Mamelukes himself.
Yeah, I think that's unsurprising at this point, given that he's just sent 1,000 gold. I think that's actually exactly what he wants to do. They're not going to be particularly strong against Janissaries, though. But perhaps, you know, he does want some kind of cavalry to deal... Well, he needs something to deal with opponent's Abus guns. Doesn't look like any more Abus guns are coming out, though. This fast fortress has not added in a foundry. But, yeah, what do you make Mamelukes versus Janissaries? Oh, does bring out the Minutemen. And as a result of that, he's now going to have to fight them at full life. Dragoons coming in as well. Going to get some damage here. It looks like the red player just going to walk on out of here. He's losing quite a few Jans.
Just chip. many of his Janissaries die, so that the Mamelukes have a decent supporting army.
Yeah.
He will have the Mameluke shipment very fast due to these 2 TPs that he did make.
Yeah, that's true. Certainly lots of shipments available. And I think... Well, are they on the way now?
Not
No, he's
yet.
still collecting up that coin. Yeah, he's got one villager gathering up that 1,000 coin there. I don't think he's, going to be... Like, that shipment's nearly available, Chrissie, if you look in the top left. And there's only one villager gathering up the coin. Perhaps he ought to have changed it to the town center. It's probably what he wanted to do, but, that slipped up on that, and it did arrive at this outpost. So, might not be able to get those Mamelukes in queue the moment that the shipment comes available. So, they will be a little bit delayed, which will be nice for the Ottoman player. That's going to be what he wants. 2 organ guns do arrive. I really like that decision versus...
He actually made a church somewhere as well.
Yeah, perhaps this gold is for something else. Maybe he's...
No, Mamelukes have been shipped now. He
No,
lost
they-
1,000 coin and the shipment has been sent.
I see,
so...
I see, okay.
Unless he has another mercenary army here. No, he does not.
Yeah, so is it Mamelukes to deal with his opponent's Mamelukes? And, of course, he's got Dragoons as well, which will give him the edge in that kind of fight.
Iram did not actually send Mamelukes. The 1,000 coin was to actually repopulate his Dragoon mass in preparation for the opposing Mamelukes, which I think is pretty smart.
Yeah, I think so too. This is actually what the question I was asking. But I thought he had, when you said sent Mamelukes, I thought that was what you were referring to the Portuguese player. But okay, Ottoman has sent Mamelukes by the sounds of it. And the gold was actually used, as you mentioned, to train Dragoons, which makes sense given that he only has 2 stables. I did find it odd that he would want Mamelukes against his opponent's Janissary army. But yeah, he does anticipate them coming, and as a result of that has been training an enormous number of Dragoons, so should be okay. And has 2 organ guns as well to deal with these Janissaries. I do wonder, though, how long those organ guns will live against
Dragoons need to
Mamelukes.
guide Mamelukes, which means that the Castadors and the organ guns are both going to
They're
expose
very vulnerable, yeah.
very soon after these Dragoons start guiding,
Yeah,
because they can't tank the Mamelukes.
He needs to get to set up a kind of really, really tight area in his base, right? Like a tiny little wall, or jam those organ guns in somewhere where it would be very difficult for the Mamelukes to get
Those
around on
organ
them.
guns, okay.
But
the Mamelukes
hasn't
are,
managed
of
to
course,
set anything
stuck
up like
here.
that. And here the Mamelukes just going to gang up and absolutely dumpster these organ guns, and the effectiveness of them is really, really low as a result of that.
Just ran in and died.
Yeah. But the organ guns have been dealt with, and now it's just a Janissary army. And those Castadors, they're now all gone as well. The Mamelukes have done what they needed to do, and Janissaries, even though they cannot chase down the Dragoons, they do have a lot of siege potential, and he can just start slowly punching away at these stables, and those Dragoons aren't really going to be able to do a huge amount about it. Mamelukes are all dead now. Look at adding in Iraqs. He really wants some skirmishes, but Somppu going to do everything in his power to deny that going up. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him focus it down with the Janissaries when those Dragoons are not obviously firing at him.
The problem is these Dragoons can find Janissaries so efficiently under this DC fire.
Yes.
They are dying so inefficiently.
I think you're right. Certainly under the town center. Perhaps not so true when he's not in his opponent's base, but because when they're not in combat with the Dragoons, the town center is doing damage there. That just really makes it difficult for Somppu.
And devastating. Kucherov just keeps guiding, and Janissary so much damage. And he's gone through the Abyss guns, he's gone through the Falconets, he's gone through the Mamelukes.
And now what threats does Somppu have remaining? And the answer is really not very many. All he can continue to do is create Janissaries and all of the supporting units that add to the composition that he can get. As you mentioned, the Falconets, as you mentioned, the Abyss guns, and of course the Mamelukes as well. All of those support that composition with Janissaries very nicely. He doesn't have any threats left, so this 1,000 wood, I imagine, has been shipped so that he can add in a foundry, and I would not be surprised to see that very, very shortly, so that he can, of course, continue to create units to support the Janissaries. And the economy at this point, 40 compared to 28, so Jerome is pulling ahead, and the longer this goes, as we know, more villages means more units, and could ultimately result in a win if Somppu is unable to keep this pressure up. And judging from what we're saying, I don't think he will be able to. What do you think?
Somehow go industrial, or these 5 Hussar and 5 Spy need to really do work.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Hiram is going to keep making more Dragoons because he knows those are the only 2 shipments remaining. And actually, no, he's swapping to Castadors for now.
Yeah, I think he wants something to support the Dragoons. But Haznat's Dragoon combat is coming in as well, so by the looks of it, going to be maintaining both. A nice shipment to get, as we go into this later portion of the game. Something more permanent that will keep his Dragoons upgraded forever. But something really interesting, Chrissie, is that Somppu's adding in the town center. He's not going to continue that push. Perhaps he realizes that, he just doesn't have the shipments coming out as quickly as he would like, and as a result of that, is going to slow down, get that town centre out, and perhaps keep up economically. We do have to remember, yes, the villager count is heavily in favour of Portuguese, but Ottomans do not have to pay for their villagers, and as a result of that, you don't need as many
He did
as
get
many
the
villagers.
most upgrade, by the way, so his villager limit is increased.
Oh, that's really... And I wonder if he is going to invest in... if I go over to text complete, we'll be able to see if he has or not. But I wonder if he's going to get the... Yeah, he has. He's gone for... Well, he's gone for Galata Tower District. But I wonder if he's going to make the speed at which they train faster as well. I'm not sure if that's actually a very efficient shipment. We'll see if he does or not.
I think this is how he wants to speed up his villager production.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's why he sent that 1,000 wood rate. He realizes he can't continue to push. He doesn't have the threats left in his deck. And as a result of that, we'll send 1,000 wood to get that TC down. And has added in, by the looks of it, a foundry as well.
The Genmass has been remade somewhat, but Eurom has a lot of Castadors and a couple of Dragoons left, with, of course, the Dragoon combat, which would also buff his Hussars if he had any. And he's actually mining on Sompu's side of the map.
Oh, that's funny. Like, I mean, he doesn't have to be scared of Mamelukes, and he knows that the opposing army will not, and it is unlikely that he will create any cavalry that will threaten those villages. You know, he's going to go for Abbas guns, he's going to make a foundry, something like that. By the looks of it, has trained 2 falconets. And those
make more Dragoons, so Eurom does not have a way to deal with this.
Yeah, not at the moment, unless he builds a Culverins or something like that. I mean, he has... I guess he has...
Immediately sees the falconets.
Yeah, do we see that going down?
Yeah, I looked on ESOC and immediately the moment the falconet shot goons in queue.
2 goons in queue, that'll be 1 at each stable, and I imagine he'll bump that up to 5 when it gets close to the time to pop it out.
There's enough for 5, but yeah, batch 3 popping out right there.
So here come the Dragoons. They're coming. Can they get a free volley on the cannons? We do see them going back, but a little bit out of position, those Jans. And as a result of that, a whole free volley from his Dragoons on one of those Falcons, bringing it down to about half health, just over. All he needs is a couple more of those, and he's going to be in a good spot. Is being forced off the mine, and he does not have any more gold on his side of the map. Even he has that remaining mine on Sompu's side. Yes, he does have that, but it's nearly half full. But where does he go for gold after this? He needs to survive this push here. Otherwise, gold is going to become very, very difficult to get. Here's 1 villager. He's losing some villagers here on the trees.
It's going to be quite problematic. The Janmass has been remade, and he's now having Jan.
Yeah. Mamelukes do arrive. That's how he's going to deal with the cannons. They're coming in. Really nicely done there. They are in the middle. That other one is being bloody rocked. The cav are going to find it hard to get to, but it doesn't matter because the Dragoons can focus it down as well. And now it's just Castadors fighting on the Janissaries, and they cannot go anywhere. They're snared by by the Mamelukes, and as a result of that, these Castadors and Dragoons are going to be able to do plenty of damage. Has neutralized threats. Really nicely done from Eurom.
I was wondering, like, why can you not run these double stable? But I guess we have our answer. There is where his coin went. 5 Mamelukes.
4 Mamelukes, yeah.
Exactly the right time, just slaughtering the falconets and then snaring the Janissaries.
Yeah, and now villagers are going to be able to return to work and head over to that mine that he does have in his base. He's forced it back, and I do wonder now what Ottoman really has left. I thought the 2 cannons there had re-gotten him some control in the game, but now they are gone as well, and I think he's going to have plenty of... He's plenty okay. Jerem is fine.
If 2 falconets pop out of this artillery foundry behind it, they can get a lot of shots on these.
Yeah, he has 2 in queue right now. Perhaps that'll be... I don't know. Maybe he can't really produce them now. I mean, if he does, they're about to arrive, I would imagine. Otherwise, these Jans would be escaping. There they are. 2 cannons do come out, but they are so close to the Dragoons. This is what I was worried about. He's going to focus them down. The Castadors, however, really close together and in good range of the... They do, however...
That was
not a cost-efficient trade, I would say. What do you think of that?
And he does call GG. He did not have the food to send his Spahi at any point in this game, which might have done something. They are really good cavalry units, but Eurom holding it very nicely.
And does pick up the first game. Nicely done, Eurom the Brave, aka N30 Jerem. That does conclude our first match that apparently Sompu was going to force a blind pick on. Does not happen to be the case, and does settle into an Ottoman versus Portuguese, but is unable to pick up this first game. What does Sompu have left in store for us? Because he does not get to force blind picks anymore. But now Jerem will pick first and then Sompu afterwards. So we will see. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with the next match.
Sompu going to his known Civ, Russia. Of course, I'm sure that the people who are on the forums know him for having that avatar, Pray for Russia.
Yes, he
And
does have a thing for Russia,
yeah.
and that is a theme that has gone with Somppu for a very long time. Bringing out the big guns now. Thought he could pick up a game as the Ottoman versus the Portuguese, but in this next map, by the looks of it, Jerem has selected India for this map, which is, of course, Klondike. And his opponent, SomppuKunkku, does get to pick afterwards, and that is exactly what he has done. He's picked Russia for this matchup. Russia vs India. I do wonder how this works out. Now, Klondike, I think we should cover, because this map is actually very, very similar to, at least my first initial impression, to Yukon, which is unsurprising given the picture set. We do have, of course, the map divided in two by a small river, and by the looks of it, there's a trading post on the other side between that divide, so that is nice. But it also reminds me of that really long map, Arakinea, I think it's called, where you start with a few llamas, but also sometimes berry bushes in a very similar kind of way to this. So I think that's interesting. I think it's important to cover the map, because I don't think anyone on my particular YouTube channel, if they are not following in ESO-community.net, which they totally ought to do, they will have not seen this map before. So definitely very nice. Let's take a look around. Control
I see at least 7 beaver treasures.
Is that a theme on this map then? It's just filled with very, very small muscat treasures.
It would assume, like, or it would explain why this river is like so shallow. There's just so many dams from all the beavers.
Okay, that's funny. But what about the other side? Do we see any other kind of bigger treasures, or is this map? I wonder if this is why it's been picked for the round of 32, which we are now in, because perhaps maps with less treasures on them are fairer in a way. That might not necessarily be the case, because treasures it usually comes down to scouting. There can be a bit of randomness involved, but I think usually the better player does end up having a better age 1, and yeah, there is that. But either way, it is a map without any large treasures, and that is an interesting factor. What else can you tell us about the map?
Well, there's a lot of berries.
Yeah, it's a very big map as well, right? Very, very wide.
But it seems there's a wood treasure in base for India and a food treasure in base for Russia, so I think both players are quite happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very long rust distance on this particular map, so
yes.
Doesn't also look like being aggressive will be an agenda either player would like, and that's partly because of the map, but also because of the civilizations they are playing, perhaps. I mean, Russia can go with that. What do you think?
Well, it's both civs, obviously. India likes the forward Agra, Russia likes the forward blockhouse, and there's actually really good positions on this map for both of that. Like, there's a lot of resources on this point, for example. There's also quite a bit of stuff you are protecting if you place it here.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I think that's a gold mine? Yeah, that's actually a 5k mine and a hunt that you would be protecting if you put it in the middle of the map.
Wow, all of the mines 5k. By the looks of it, there's silver mines down the side.
There's silver maps. It's just in the middle that there's a couple gold mines.
This is actually really interesting. I didn't realize how defendable this was down the side. These are sort of cliffs. Anyway, let's introduce the players. I haven't actually done that yet. So in the south of the map, in the color blue, we do indeed have SomppuKunkku playing as indeed the Russians. And we'll be clicking up to the next age any moment now. Has almost all of his food available for that. Distributivism has arrived as well as his first shipment. His opponent, Jerem the Brave, aka N30 Jerem, playing as India, and does not have all of the food he needs to add to get up yet. Does have 300 gold though. That is quite the amount of gold.
That's a lot of beavers.
Yeah, all of the beavers. Yeah, let's take a look at that. So 30 gold, 50 gold, 40 gold, 40 gold, 50 gold. Yeah, it's an enormous number of beavers. I think generally beaver treasures do spawn more often than, say, the 40 wood treasure, the kind of 30 food treasure, or the XP treasures. And that is because, there is a 30 beaver treasure, a 40 beaver treasure, and also a 50 beaver treasure as well. But that is not the case for the food and wood treasures or the XP treasures. So gold does tend to spawn more often for muskrats. But that is the early game covered, and Jerem now clicking up as well with the Agrafort.
He's going to be quite later than Sobodo, and that's actually defensive Agra. One thing I quickly want to say though, a difference between this and Yukon is that the TP line is actually on the side, where on Yukon the fat treasures are, so it's a lot less defendable. Yeah. Than on Yukon, because you're not literally pushing into the TP line.
It's an absolutely huge map as well. Yeah, you're right. Like on Yukon, when you push your opponent, you'll be on top of the trading round. So that makes sense. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. This is on the other side of the map, which is an interesting dynamic. But I was, to be honest, expecting a defensive aggro. I thought that would be the case given that, well, there are berries in base, but this map is a huge map, right? And yes, Russia, as you are absolutely mentioning. Russia, though, is going to be building a blockhouse on this food location here. And below that, he does have tons of food, food, berries, a gold mine there. But also, it looks like he's going to be protecting this particular trading post. He does have his explorer in the area, and that signals to me that he does want to establish at least this particular trading route. And because of the blockhouse being here as well, perhaps the whole route.
Yeah, he's also kind of protecting these 2 coin mines, not directly, of course, but it's giving a lot of vision.
Which coin mines? For
the most likely path Euram would take to push on these coin mines.
Yeah.
Some walls coming up actually as well. Together with the market and the aggro fort, that's protecting a lot of ground. Although these pillars might not be ideally.
I wonder if you can.
I'm not even sure if that's a wall.
I don't think.
I'm thinking about the wall.
Well, either way though, that's a very small opening, even if it is an opening.
Yeah.
But the point is, he's building. He's really going for the defensive here, with the aggro fort built into the wall by the looks of it. Worth pointing out again that walls on this patch are not quite as good. Villager does make it inside the aggro fort in the nick of time, but here comes Russia. We do see 5 Cossacks and some Musketeers entering the base as well. Does manage to pick up that Villager by the looks of it, and the Sepoy, the 2-1 that he gets for free. They are not in a good spot right now, and that is the only defense he has, as well as the elephants.
Well, it's fine. This is
2 villages
Sepoy against the entire Russian army, so Euram is absolutely fine.
Yeah, well, the 2 Sepoy are still alive, and the cavalry are, all their damage is being put into those 2 elephants. So those 2 Sepoy able, basically having tanks.
Regulars being called.
Yeah, and does manage to clean up the Russian army. He does pick up 2 villages and cause quite a bit of idle time, and obviously forced resources on.
These elephants just tanking so much damage.
They are really, really valuable for that. Does almost pick up the 3rd villager, and I think, this entire raid could arguably... Is he going to get it? No, it's in the town center. So,
he might get one of these further away villagers, but he's actually ready to run away, but there's a full wall.
Yeah, he can't get out there. That's just quite funny.
13 strelets being shipped next, together with a batch of musketeers, but the wall is finished now. And unless there's like some hole that Euram missed, I just don't see how he can really push in here. The Cossacks being very low on hit points here.
Yeah.
These strelets have no siege, so I'm not sure how he can get past as well, even with the nerf to 1500 HP.
Yeah, they're completely walled in. They just can't leave. I've been following the round. Yeah, you're right. Like he's got this wall up, and the Strele, and as you mentioned, the muskets as well have low siege potential. So he's going to have to siege down this wall, and that is probably going to give Euram the time he needs. Yeah, as you can see, the wall, is not taking damage hugely quickly. He's going to be out there for a while. Diplomatic intrigue does arrive. And I imagine, well, we'll take a look at text being researched. Is going to be going up with the Ottoman, and that's going to give him time to, get that researched and get those Minutemen available and prepare a few units as well at his stable, which is not, by the looks of it, being completed. But, well, I think more likely his aggro fort. Let's take a look at the units in queue. Absolutely does have some Sepoy. And I think this time is exactly what he needs. Actually, Russia going to abandon the whole attempt, and that now 13 Strelet shipment perhaps... is going to be squandered. He could have sent something else. 700 wood, start laying down the trading route a bit sooner. So a good, I think, get stagecoach. Absolutely, I think Euram is going to be very happy about seeing those 13 strelets, and they are not they're not doing anything useful.
Wood is the next shipment for Russia.
Yeah, unsurprising, right?
Have a market though.
No, I imagine now that wood has arrived.
Hunting dogs.
Yeah, and he'll probably get those, right? Wood, definitely, yeah, absolutely. The market is going to be going down, as we can see over here. That wood, responsible for that, I think, and we'll be able to get those techs in. Looks like also the Explorer getting into position to build the next route, and once that's being constructed, I wouldn't be surprised to see, of course, the stagecoach being researched as well. His opponent doesn't have, is unable to get onto it, and with 3 TPs, they're going to pay for themselves very, very quickly. Russia certainly
5 TP stagecoach is insane.
Really, really strong here. But Russia, whilst the 13 Strelets didn't do very much and that early pressure didn't look too good, still in the game. And do have to remember, even though he did lose all the Cossacks, and he did actually kill about 2.5 villages. Well, actually, really only 2.
He also forced this, whereas... well, that's gone now. But he forced Euram to spend about 50 wood, I'd say, on walls, and also just give up complete map control for 9 minutes.
Yeah, that's true, but he's not feeling the effects of that just yet. He still has hunts in his base, and if he really needs to, berries. And a lot of these hunts still have, you know, over 200 food in them all. So I think he's not really feeling the problems of no map just yet. I wonder why he deleted the wall, though. Perhaps now that his army has arrived, he doesn't need it anymore, and it's just, you know, taking up space, and he doesn't want to build.
Has arrived for Russia, by the way.
Yeah, I was expecting that, right? And he's going to build that final trading post as well when some of the wood comes in when it passes. Really nice economy.
He's very smart. He's going to try and sneak in this 1TP, but the fight going on here, and the Sao are snaring this army, so it's going to be very difficult for them to run away.
Yeah, and it's a mostly Strele army as well, which means, you know, not going to be too good against those cap. More muskets do arrive. That is exactly what he needs. And bringing the elephants in as well. And called Minutemen, they are sitting there not doing anything, but I'm sure they'll be pulled into the fight as well. Really going all in on this fight. And if he gets pushed back any further, he's going to reach the stable. Does manage to get it up in time, though, so it won't be too much of a problem. That final elephant, it does one more cavalry to go down, and then the kiting will become less effective. But, yeah.
But soon, someone's going to be stuck between the edge of the wall and this Indian army.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight here by the looks of it. 5 more musketeers do come out, and actually, I think this looks Russia favored.
Yeah, it probably is just due to how efficient these relics are.
Actually,
and there is a bit more in queue as well. So
it's absolutely not Russia favored. I was wrong.
Well, it's difficult to say, like, Yerom is not really achieving much with this push. He's not pushing him off resources, he's just fighting here for the sake of fighting. And Strelis against Sepoy, I think that was pretty decent for...
Yeah, well, I think you know, you say he's fighting for the sake of fighting. Strele do come out, and they are going to kite back. They're not as good at kiting as skirmishers, but you say he's not fighting here for any reason. This is the entire trade round. Somppu is incredibly invested here. He sent 700 and 600 wood as well. And if he loses the location, then Jerem is going to be able to siege down all of these trading posts and replace them with ones of his own. And you know, the stagecoach upgrade has arrived, and that's going to be a really valuable thing for him.
But yeah, Somppu doing something very smart. Something actually kind of did in his previous series that we streamed as well, where he's just trying to buy time so that Jerome is not pushing things that matter.
Yeah.
Trying to get some Cossacks in because...
I have a feeling he's waiting for... You know, he's just sent 600 gold. And as a result of that, will be most likely training some kind of cavalry unit. Yeah, it does have 5 Sawar in queue, and I imagine they'll pop out of the Indian stable any moment. And when they arrive, they'll might make their way up the battlefield and be able to join, of course, the Sepoy. I think that's what he's waiting for, and then he can push back in. But also, you know, he has secured this hunt rate, and that's what he needs. As you mentioned earlier, he gave up map control for the first 9 minutes of the game, and this is where, you know, he doesn't have any hunt left, so he has to push out for those as well. The Sawars have arrived, though, and it is just a Strele army. This is no good. All he has is 5 Cossacks to defend against this, unless he does have some musketeers in queue, which he does not. They're not going to be popping anytime soon. I think Jerome needs to go, but he doesn't realize perhaps that...
I think Cossacks are too good to
well,
really
given that a batch of 4 from the shipment just arrived as well, that's absolutely not something he wants to be doing. So perhaps he realizes that and is anticipating more Cossacks.
Yeah, these Cossacks have boyars now as well. They are just really powerful
strong
compared to these Sawars.
And he's seen the stable, right? So perhaps he knows that there could have been more cavalry coming and didn't want to go in there as a result of that. But yeah, you know, it comes back to what you were saying earlier. He's not really doing anything. He's just standing here with his units and now losing some Sawars, a free volley. Almost lost one there. Yeah, this is really good for Russia. He's got his upgrades in now at the market. We can see that from the text complete. And has a very big trade route as well. You know, Jerem is established with 1 on there, but I think soon Russia might even be able to you know, push out and grab it.
Well, it's also Jerom's market upgrades actually aren't that good. He does not have any of the tier 2 upgrades, not even the hunting one, which is actually quite cheap for the Asian.
Tiger Claws, though, coming in. Tiger Claws very effective against the infantry, of course, but they are much better when popped out from just under a TC or a tower or something like that. When you have to walk them up to the enemy units, they can take a lot of shots before they even start doing any damage.
Two stomps happening, actually.
2 stomps, and Tiger Claw's not able to get into position, jammed around this building, and as a result of that, not going to be too effective here. Strele, of course, very good against Sepoy. Here comes some Sawars around the back into a nice position onto those Strele, going to be able to do some damage.
There's also 3 blockhouses. Well, the third actually is not quite going up here, but there's 2 blockhouses here constantly shooting with the 30 range attack, which does matter quite a bit in a prolonged fight like this.
Yeah, Elephant does go down on his last Sawa, which won't last much longer. and now it's just these sepoy. I think Russia's held it, and with 3 blockhouses in the area, this location matters to him hugely. I don't think it's going to be pushed in anymore. I think Russia might have just secured the game because a trading post economy is absolutely enormous.
Yeah, and he's also ahead in market base. I think the Boyars, Cossacks, and Strellas just were so efficient.
Yeah.
That India just...
Yeah.
Their units are really good, but they also cost quite a bit. The sepoy is...
expensive. Yeah.
Is it 80 food and 40 coin?
I'm not entirely... well, we can see when he trains one, we can hover over it and it'll tell us. But,
yeah,
you know, either way, your
expensive.
point still stands. Yeah, and look at that now, going to push into that final trading post
Nice
and grab
raid
this
for you,
as
though.
well. Yeah, does come in with the raid. And there are lots of villages nearby. It's just as he was... You can see Somppu was thinking about raids. He thought that was absolutely something that could happen. And as a result of that, put the blockhouse down, but didn't manage to get it up in time. Cossacks do come in to repel this, but looks by the looks of it, Jerome is on top of that and is able to get away before going into combat against the Cossacks.
It's 90 food, 30 coin for a sepoy.
Yeah. A very, very expensive unit. Like, this is exactly what Russia wants now. He's managed to get his Boyars, as you mentioned, and then already the units are slightly more cost-effective as a thing of being Russia. This is exactly what Russia wants, a prolonged Age 2 fight.
Taking the TP that Jerome stole, although I'm sure that paid for itself by now.
Yeah, it's absolute. Like, this whole route is enormous. His economy is going to be very, very strong. Trading post, by the looks of it, not calculated into this.
No, they are not.
They are not.
So Somppu is actually ahead by 20 villagers, probably slightly more due to market upgrades.
Yeah.
Jerome did get the tier 2 upgrade for food though, finally.
Just coming in. But, like, he has to do something. Jerome, right, he needs to do something right now. He either needs to kill a whole bunch of villagers raiding, which he was trying to do, but just didn't have the cavalry army to do adequate enough damage. And also just doesn't have the army to push in on top of this 3 blockhouse and stable location, which is really the access point to this trade route, right? Like, if he wants to contest the trade route, he's going to have to go through that area.
Yeah, and I really don't agree with him deleting these walls, actually. I'm pretty sure it's more efficient to just build a gate in them, especially as India, where you are chopping quite a bit of wood anyway for your villagers, and you have the trickles and the free market upgrades for them.
Yeah, do you think so? I mean, like, it does cost 50 wood to make a gate, so I can see why he was tempted to not do that, and at that point in the game he had stabilized. But yeah, like, having a wall is valuable. I agree with you.
Because he didn't lead pillars. That was 40 wood
Oh,
of
using the
walls he
pillars.
deleted.
That's true, he could have saved that. But yeah, like, as you're mentioning, it doesn't have the walls, and it's always useful to have them.
Eco-Tier actually coming in for Russia as well now, so
Yeah,
actually really thinking of the late game Somppu at the moment. And he might even be saving up for an age up. No, he's spending. Never
Yeah,
mind.
well, at this game, right, he has 50 villages, so Eco-Theory is actually a 5 vill shipment, which is really valuable at this point in the game. And it lets you gather from berries faster as well, which is also utility he is taking advantage of in his base. You know, certainly on a map with lots of berry bushes, as you can see, I'm moving around the map.
There's
Could come
even
in to
more
get
in
the
the
play
south here.
later on.
Camel attack. for
Camel attack
Jerome
just
with
coming
pretty
in.
good shipment.
And I think that signals to us that Yaron wants to do something right now because he knows he cannot play this game with his opponent having that many trading posts, so has sent an aggressive card, and by the looks of it wants to make something happen. He's going to start sieging, but Somppu
Look at
has the
this
superior
Russian
mass. Yeah, it's absolutely a horde. This is enormous.
And I actually looked at Somppu's deck, and he actually has fencing school in his deck, which could really matter if this game goes on.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
such a good card if you get enough economy to afford it.
yeah, once your population's at 200 and all of your village, and you know the only fact you have lots and lots of blockhouses, and then the only thing that matters is training time, then yes, absolutely. But I think the game might be decided before that becomes relevant because clearly Jerome.
Scores as well.
Yeah, they're getting really further apart in favor of Somppu. But Jerome just tried to contest this training post. He knew he couldn't leave them up, so went out towards that. But the Russian army repelled him, and obviously he doesn't want to take a fight he can't win, so retreats back to the safety of his base. But this is where Russia just pushes in on top of him. And this is where the fight is going to happen, and this is where I think the GG might come in.
Yeah, I don't think Jerome can win this fight, even with the Agra Fort.
No Ottoman Minutemen, no Irregulars, and no surprise shipments.
Still, but I don't know.
Yeah, nothing like Urumi or Howder gonna happen here. He's still in Age 2, and just the Russian Boyar army. He's got his... Well, it doesn't affect the Musketeers, but that's not the point.
He is smartly just going all in there, though, building villagers as well. He knows he needs to win this fight.
he does. I wonder if he... I don't necessarily think he can do that, though. I mean, certainly Sepoy are strong, but there's so many Russian musks here. Even the... like,
I mean, he does have camels with camel attack, and there's a couple of them left here which are not being focused by the musketeers.
Yeah.
But there's just so much stuff here.
More camels do arrive, though. He's managed to pull those out, and as a result of that, Somppu now going to try and walk back, kite backwards. Camels do come off. I think Orange realizes that even with the added camels, and he's not going to be able to take this blue army with the reinforcing muskets.
He needs to not ever fight without this aggro support for quite a while here.
He needs that. 5 Cossacks do join the fray, but and I think that is going to signal GG. Somppu here.
More Sowars and another batch of Sequel going out, but there's still just so much Russian stuff here. And reinforcements keep pouring in. And even if Yerom holds this, his last mine here just ran out, and I mean, I guess he's gonna mine here after that?
Yeah, very exposed. And he certainly can't afford something like an outpost or whatever it is to put down there. And...
especially as an agent civ, which needs to build a castle, which is just really expensive.
Yeah.
So he's out of coin, and I don't think India has any wood units besides the Reich wood. So yeah, building more villagers to fight here.
Yep, and that's all he can do. He has to win this fight, but to be honest, I don't think 3 Sepoy and a bunch of villagers are capable of doing that. He either wins now, he has to take the trade route, but was unable to do that, and as a result, Russia was able to secure all of his extra resources, and as a result of that, add to his Russian army. Desert Terror does arrive, but there is nothing for it to upgrade. GG is said. I think a little bit of delayed, but we do get... Somppu does take game number 2. The score is now 1-1. So this series...
this is a really good map for Russia. This is just exactly the kind of map they want. It fits their playstyle perfectly.
Yeah. Well, there is certainly that. The score is 1-1. This series is heating up, ladies and gentlemen. This tournament is brought to you by ESO-community.net. We host seasonal tournaments and boast the largest Age of Empires 3 forum on the internet. Do sign up to that if you want to keep up to date with the scene. My name has been Interjection, accompanied by... Oh, we did just receive a donation by the looks of it. $50 coming in from Goodspeed. He says, thanks for casting, boys. No problem. Thank you very much. Of course, all donations are going towards future prize pools for future tournaments. Very, very much appreciated. And that, I think, is an excellent thing to end this particular game on. We will be back in just a moment.
They were powerful dynasties of Asia. Architects of great wonders of the world. Great armies of fearless warriors faced with victory or death. Age of Empires 3, the Asian Dynasties.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. In just a moment, we will be beginning game number 3 in a best-of-5 series between Yerom the Brave, well, just Yerom for now, used to be the Brave, but this is a new account by the looks of it, aka N3O Jerem, people will know him as on Twitch as well, versus SomppuKunkku. The score is currently 1-1, and this, of course, is effectively first to 3 victories will win over all. So we'll get back into the next game in just a moment. By the looks of it, Jerem is hosting, and we're waiting for Somppu to join, and then once he is in slot 2, we can join and be in slot 3 and 4 as casters. That is the correct order that we want to do things in, right, Chrissie?
Yes, and Somppu did win the previous game, so he will have the first pick, and Yerom will get the option of counter-picking.
By the looks of it, Jerem has already picked Iroquois, though, which might give Somppu a bit of extra information that Yerom doesn't necessarily have to give him. Yerom, by the looks of it, wanting to play Iroquois, but Somppu does now have to pick...
I think this might be a bluff from Yerom.
That, well, there's that as well.
Because
it's definitely...
I have actually never seen him play Iroquois before.
Yeah. Yeah, does pick India, and now he gets to pick as well. So, yeah, that's really interesting if it is a bluff, right? That is perhaps a little bit clever, because it does make your opponent a bit uneasy. Yeah, Somppu does pick India and is locked in. He says yes.
But I do know that Jerome actually really likes bluffing in tournaments like this. I know that against Ottoman, he was actually bluffing Aztec against Ottoman's Japan, while he never intended to pick Aztec because he has no clue how to play it.
I love that. So he has absolutely no skill with Aztec and has no idea what he's doing, but he understands that it is a good pick against Japan and
So
picks it anyway. Yeah, and then...
He's like, yeah,
and then Osman sees the Civ and he's like, I'm not sure about that matchup, and doesn't realize that Jerem has no idea how to play Aztec. And then chooses a new matchup, and oh, that is clever. I really, really like that kind of thing. But by the looks of it, he's landed on France, which France definitely benefits from having a trading post. It's something they'll want to put down, so a nice pick on this particular map. Yeah, you'll know this map when you see it, I'm absolutely certain. You've casted hundreds of games on it.
It's one way to water on the southeast map, right?
It's the one we load into, and me and Zuta go, oh, this is a beautiful map. And I do think that. Very, big props to Gaia for making this one, but the coastal area on this map is actually really, really nice to look at. It's just, I don't think the true, it's not really, it doesn't really show too well on Twitch because I'm streaming with a 3,500 bitrate. I'd need a lossless capture to show it off fully, but yeah, definitely looks nice. He's having a sound bug by the sounds of it. So we will be...
If you don't have water graphics on lowest, this is indeed gorgeous to look at.
Yep.
Oh, there's actually cows on this map as well, right?
Yeah, just the one. They don't have patches of 2, which I prefer anyway. But yes, there are some livestock available. By the looks of it, we will be reloading into the map any moment now, and then we can get this underway. By the looks of it, Jerem had a sound bug, but easily fixed, and then we can jump into the same matchup on the same match. Everything is decided.
Yeah, notably though, French did get some nerfs in the current patch. They removed one of their starting food crates. They removed the native snare, or the snare from the native scout. So their H1 is a lot less devastating if you catch the opposing explorer.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And the Dragoon nerf, which is a general nerf, of course, but does affect French a reasonable bit because they do love semi-FFs where they go the very standard Goon Skirmisher composition.
Yeah, any Civ that enjoys the Goon Skirmisher composition will be hurt by that, and France is absolutely one of them. I think it's really interesting to bring up that their Scout is not as good as it was before, because on Manchuria there are some pretty good treasures. And
livestock.
And livestock as well. So, as a result of that, the Scout perhaps not as good. Still going to be useful for finding the livestock. I don't really think it's going to change anything about that. But, if you do happen to come across, one of the Indian elephants, not going to be able to snare
It's not just that.
Yeah, which I think is certainly a nerf to France, absolutely. And the fact that they started with 100 food extra, compared to every other Civ, they had one extra crate that was always food in their crate rotation. And, that in combination with a Scout that can snare is quite powerful. So, by the looks of it, crate has been removed, and that does affect their Age 1, as we have discussed earlier in previous games, in previous weeks. But, Chrisie, we have loaded in now in the north of the map in the colour blue. We do have, indeed, the Indians. SomppuKunkku playing in the colour blue. Starting with, by the looks of it, 4 wood crates. His opponent, though, not quite as many, obviously he's not India, does, however, have enough 2 wood crates to get the trading post, which he is not going to be doing by the looks of it. Actually, perhaps will opt for...
I guess.
Yeah, I like this, actually. Going to be opting for a market start, perhaps, which does not involve, 30 seconds of idle time on your Explorer, and as a result of that is able to get out on the map and find the cows, which are actually in batches of 2, unless they both spawn on top of each other. No, there's 2 down here as well. I thought they spawned... There's just 1 cow. That might be perhaps just the goats on Kamchatka.
I think it's the middle ones that come in batches of 2.
Yeah. Actually, by the looks of it, is going to go for a trading post, and but no, did delay it a bit, so might not get as much XP, and does delay that sort of 3 villages, but does get to look around on the map a bit, and is going to roughly know where his cows spawn. They always spawn in kind of set places. It's not like it's random, but it's always kind of predictable. And did kind of do a nice
right, bottom left,
these kind of things, right, as Chrissie's mentioning. But you can do he did a nice sweep, a nice wave around the map to see if he could get that. And by the looks of it, does not pick up these these particular ones. India is going to get those, and India on this map is going to be really pleased with lots of livestock, right? Let's take a look at actually how many he has.
If he gets enough of them, he might even build the sacred field or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that enormously would increase the amount of XP available to him. I don't think he does have quite enough to make that worthwhile. 5 cows is certainly a lot, but not enough for that. 4 cows. Yarom doing pretty well on cows as well. Perhaps, though, he's going to have to escort this one yak. That looks like what he's going to be doing with his scout. He's going to, he keeps bringing this, they're keeping them close so it does not convert. However, the elephant is pursuing. He's getting quite far away. It does convert. Ooh. Do you think he'll go back for it? No, he can't. It's too late now. So Somppu, just by staying close to the cow, did manage to pick one up. So, that can be something worthwhile to do. Sometimes if your opponent does have a lapse in concentration or jumps back to their town to lay down a house or something like that, or a market, which he is doing now, then maybe you can pick up the extra cow if someone is spending their APM actions per minute elsewhere. But Chrisie, what do you make of France going for the market and a trading post? Is this just a facet of them having one less food crate and therefore just having longer in the discovery age? They don't get to age up as quickly, and as a result of that is going to create that extra village or train, and because he has more time, is going to go for a market as well. But normally we used to just see either a market start or a trading post, but here both in age 1.
I think I can't say much besides yes, because you pretty much gave every reason.
Oh, I see.
I would assume that's exactly...
Oh, who's going to pick that up? It's only 60 food, but does matter Somppu managing to pick it up, and has snared one of the Indian elephants, but I do think 2 elephants versus 1 explorer.
You would have loved that food treasure. It would kind of make up for the loss of the crate, but now Somppu is going to be up even faster than French already by the slowdown due to the loss of the crate.
Yeah.
That was an awkward sentence.
Yeah, well, I know exactly what you're meaning, right? Like, Somppu now, actually on 900 food. He has not managed to get it down. What do we see?
He's already eating some of his cows because he does not want to be even more delayed.
Yeah, he notices...
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, that is smart. He saw his opponent get the 60 food, and as a result of that, realizes he'll be aging up faster because, of course, India, in fact, all Asian civs, they put down their wonder and they can continue training villages. It's not like they have to wait for that villager to finish training. So realizes that he does need a burst of extra food and does eat a yak that gathers at 2 food per second just to get the age up in queue, which is exactly what he has done. So, yeah, I like that too.
Ooh, and these elephants might actually catch this explorer before he gets to Colonial.
Is he going to pick up the 85 wood treasure? Blue does get in there first, and he's going to be able to take it out. 85 wood going to SomppuKunkku, and 2 stomps.
2 stomps. That was absolutely
that was really unlikely, though not very. It doesn't really change anything. That's I mean, this outcome was going to happen. It was going to die, but just something that was unlikely to happen that did. So I guess is commentable on. But yeah, it does take out the explorer, and that was quite a high investment treasure. Tigers are very. They'd hurt you a lot. And 85 wood is enormous. I think at this point we can decisively say SomppuKunkku has won Age 1, and this is, big match.
I'm taking revenge, punching the villager in the face for the full 8 damage.
I'm not sure where that is.
Well, he punched it twice with his scout over here. Oh, my flare is not working. Over here. So you can see the villager has 142 hit points, so he took 2 hits for 5 with a melee resist of 20.
What would you do if you're like just chopping a tree in your village and some native Indian guy in the middle of Asia, because just walks up and
runs up to it,
just punches you twice and then walks off, yeah. But our commentary useful and insightful as always. But Somppu has got this forward wonder and a forward consulate as well. What do you make of this, Chrissie?
Well, this makes me quite happy that Jerome ate that jack to go up faster, because this is most likely going to be very aggressive.
Does look like it. What kind of aggressive agenda can India have?
But it's going to put pressure.
Okay, so it's not like 10-10 bullshit, obviously. We know that he didn't go up with the 10-10 agenda. So it's not going to be anything hyper-aggressive, but certainly, it does have a very forward aggro fort, which does mean units will be in his base sooner, and just is an aggressive placement. He's clearly not going for a defensive placement.
It's not like he went 300 foot aggro fort as quick as I can. Just attack. Right-click TC.
I wonder what he'll do with these units, though. I think it's conceivable that he tasks the aggro fort. Well, certainly he's going to pick up this explorer. That's another 45 XP going down for the second time. That French guy named...
really good for him. Together with these 6 yaks,
yep.
He has a lot of experience, and now just getting 45 twice from killing this Explorer
Yeah.
is going to really give him some
Yeah,
fighting.
and he's going to be able to get the XP from killing these Tigers as well. This is what I thought he might do. Target the Agra Fort onto the Tigers, and then have the Elephants and
Coin is
Sepoy pick
nothing
up...
to laugh at.
Yeah, 175
That's
coin.
five
Really, really
Sepoy.
valuable.
That's enough coin for 5 Sepoy that he doesn't need to gather.
Yeah,
Of course, he still needs the food for them, but...
Yeah, but you can retask some of the villagers on coin to food, and then, you know, basically you just net eventually. And
yeah, a lot of Sepoy. 5 Sepoy is the next shipment. I'm
Wow,
pretty sure
yeah.
He's going to get red coats here for his 300 export. And
And
that's
that-
a lot of musketeers.
That probably signals go time.
And you're not selling a stable.
Yeah, by the looks of it. He's going
He
for...
does
But
have
if,
a barracks, though. Oh, that is a very inefficient wall.
yeah,
a lot
that's an expensive one. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 wood for this tiny bit of wall. But inefficient or not, it is going to be valuable if he can get it up in time, because it's going to stop these musketeers from walking into his base quite so easily. And
it's a joke, it helps, but I mean...
it's not
both
finished in
elephants
time though, and he's just going to walk straight past it there. You can see the Sepoy, the musketeers, the orange musketeers trying to get back, but they have now been snared by the Indian elephant. Are we going to see any stomps? He's going to have to take out that remaining
much
elephant
hit
there.
points.
And
Minutemen.
oh my goodness, the Minutemen do come out, but not before the Sepoy, and of course the Redcoats are able to get up super close to the French musketeers and take them all out. There's none left for the French player here, and now...
Sours being shipped next, and this is just so much power for India.
He got such a good trade on those musketeers, and as a result of that, now France very, very far behind. He's now going to be able to siege down these houses, down these barracks. His 5 more
Nice
musketeers
musketeers on
pop
top
out
of the
with the 8 crossbowmen ship, nicely timed, but they are not
For some
in a
reason,
good
there's
spot.
a villager marching here. The villager is leading the Sepoy.
Yeah, he's leading them into battle and maybe adding a bit to the pressure, but the Expos absolutely annihilated by the Sawars, which Sompu
And with their
quickly
times two
retasked them
qualifying.
onto, and of course those 5 musketeers destroyed as well. A very quick and decisive third game. The score is now 2-1 in favour of SomppuKunkku. However, we do have a
Sepoy and
final
Redcoats.
match, and potentially more than just the next match coming up, but this is of course a best of 5 series, first to 3 victories. Ladies and gentlemen, can Sompu do it again? An 8-minute win there. Jerem started strong in that first game against Ottomans, but has lost all of the matches since then. Has he run out of civs to play is perhaps the question to ask.
They reset soon, though, right?
They reset now, right? It's now halfway through,
Yes.
a best of 5.
And he
The
actually
halfway point is the
hasn't
third
picked
game.
His best civ yet. He did not pick Dutch for any of the 3 previous games.
So perhaps we'll see Dutch come out now. I wonder why he didn't choose to play it on that particular map then. I mean, he could have picked Dutch versus India. Any
I
reasons
feel
as to
like
why he
that's a
didn't?
bit of an unfavorable matchup, though, especially if you do expect some sort of forward aggro consulate nonsense. I mean, these Sepoy and these Redcoats are just so powerful. How do you really deal with it as Dutch? I guess skirmishers and walls?
Yeah. You could play it now, and can play, as well as Sompu, any civilization that they want to. Whereas so far, obviously you cannot play a civ you have already played, but that is not the case. We're at the halfway point. The civ reset has kicked in. Soldier says that actually Jerem picks first here.
Oh, he does?
Once...
I guess it's because of the reset.
Oh, it alternates. So game 1, Jerem... Well, game 1 is whatever happened. Then game 2 is Jerem, because he won that. He has to pick first. And then afterwards it alternates. So yeah. First game is whatever happens, because the first game is the first game, and they have to find a matchup that they're happy with. And then Jerem picks, and then Sompu
Oh,
picks.
this is the wrong bangle, I think.
And then Jerem picks.
Yeah, so Yoroma is looking in India, it seems.
Well, I didn't know that about the rule set. I guess it didn't actually matter it didn't actually matter until the round of 64. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ESOC Autumn Championships for 2016. This is game number 4 in a best of 5 series between Yarom, aka N30 Jerem, and of course SomppuKunkku, who did lose the very first match in this series to Jerem, but has won 2 games in a row since then. And at this point, because we are halfway through the series, the civilizations have reset. And as a result of that, Sompu able to go back to what is potentially his strongest civ in the game, and the civ he is known most for playing for. That is, of course, Russia. Jerem, however, will be playing India, and this is a repeat matchup. They have already played these civilizations before in this particular matchup, but not on Bengal, not on this map. So it will be interesting to see how this pans out. Will Sompu be able to take it again, is the question. He did last time. Can he do it again? We do, though, as Chrissie is pointing out to me with the flare, have a bit of a contention over what will be a 90 wood treasure. Looks like actually
Someone did use
has...
his crack shot.
He's just used it on something to pick up 50 coin by the looks of it. But he is... yeah, so he's the only way he's going to... He doesn't know it exists. This is the first time he scouts it. Just sees it there. And I think he just noticed the orange... yeah, the elephants... Oh, no!
Yeah.
Did Jerem not notice? He's going to go for it anyway. Somppu coming in here. He's going to target the elephants. Going to get close to the treasure now. Looks like that Jerem is... He's going to let the Guardians reset. No, he's going back for them. They are stomped. And as a result of that, thinks perhaps he ought to continue fighting. Stomps last a lot longer, of course, on Treasure Guardians. They are going to go down. India gets very close. But Somppu does manage to pick it up. 90 woods. Oh. No, the stomp came in and the orange does manage to pick it up. Jerem gets the 10% or whatever it is stomp off. And as a result of that...
Why you always attack the opposing explorer.
Because sometimes you get that clutch stomp that interrupts the animation. And as a result of that allows you to pick it up. Lucca does come out in a text chat from Somppu. He is not too happy about that. Jerem, a nice save on the 90 wood treasure.
The thing on the Guardians was actually not a stomp. That was just the Asian ability where you can stun one Guardian for a couple of seconds. I don't know the exact time. I think it's like 15 or something, or 20.
Yeah. Why did I think it was a stomp there? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know how this works.
But he didn't stomp. You were not wrong.
I've played Indian and Japan.
Very relevant stomp even. But, you know, Somppu getting some nice loser's treasure here, the 50 wood to compensate.
Still, 50 wood's quite a lot, though. That's quite a big treasure given the Guardian there. 90 wood's only 40 more. And, you know, it's actually...
That's an extra tiger.
It is the loser's treasure, but it does, like, it is quite good compensation. Like, let's be honest there. 50 wood is not bad given the Guardian you just fought.
Quite a bit of damage on his elephant for that treasure.
Yeah, I mean, he was being fought by the tigers, and also he did get snared a bit as well, didn't he, as he was retreating. Sorry, 100 food treasure? Here we go, he's going for it. I think he's going to be fine. But as far as he's concerned, Somppu could be in the area.
I don't think Somppu is going to be able to get in time. Of course, the Asian explorers do have, being a melee explorer, more stats than normal explorers, so they can probably take these lines quite easily. They even have an area of effect attack, so if you stack them up nicely,
you
just
can
do a lot of damage.
Line them up like Skittles and bowling ball them down.
Both players sending distributivism.
I still can't believe I thought the stomp lasted longer on Treasure Guardians. I was like, why is it lasting so long? It must be that stomps last longer on Treasure Guardians. No, it's just the special ability, which obviously I know exists. But for some reason,
more beaver treasures.
For some reason, didn't think of polecats. Effectively a beaver treasure. Yeah, anyway, let's leave that embarrassing moment behind.
And actually, there's no cows for Russia just yet, but he's gonna pick up his first one here.
Yeah, he's gonna.
And we already see forward villagers. Defensive aggro once again for Eurom. Mark it nice and early.
Do you think there was potential to go for a sort of forward aggro fort? I mean, against Russia, that's not really something you'd want to do, but there is space in this location.
On this map, I think it's really awkward, just because it's so likely that Russia is also going to be building a forward blockhouse, and then you're just like trying to place your aggro before they place their blockhouse, because if they get the blockhouse up, there's no way there's space for your
aggro. And that blockhouse, I think, is... That is incredibly aggressive. That is as close as he could possibly get it. And is actually on top of this hunt. I mean, he could still herd the hunt back onto the aggro fort and get it a bit closer. But that is a very far forward blockhouse. And we can totally expect something aggressive to come out of SomppuKunkku here. Of course, both players aging up. Russia, a little bit further ahead, does have his first shipment available, and I imagine that will be 5 Cossacks.
He's actually going to scout it with his elephant.
He's going to see it. I think he's probably going to see it when the aggro fort goes up as well, but obviously a bit of early. No, he's not going to come in all the way.
He walked away. I guess he's looking for it over here, but...
he's looking... Yeah, maybe that...
Somppu is already H2. Okay, now he's going to see it when this gets herded away. There's no way a herd runs away that far just because they want to.
Yeah. He'll have to, well, you know, blue, it could hurt it, but like, I mean, anti-herding is not a thing that usually happens, but in a tournament game where, you know, BMing your opponent is, he's going to do it. He's going to shoot these animals away from, he's going to deny his opponent hunt. That's an underutilized strategy as far as I'm concerned.
It's very smart.
I'd really like to see that happen more in tournament games where you deliberately grief your opponent's hunts and send out a villager super early on to shoot them. I think the reason it doesn't happen is probably because it's not worth the villager seconds. But yeah, Jerem is going to find that. 5 Cossacks, as I mentioned, does come out. They are going to catch the elephant there. Dead elephant indeed.
I'm not sure why this yak was marching forward.
I'm sure I'll bring that back. 5 XP is generated there. But, yeah, 5 Cossacks, an incredibly powerful shipment. One of Russia's favorites, given the amount of resources it represents and the fact that it's only 5 population as well. These cav only cost 1 population. Cavalry are now coming in. There are some Sepoy to deflect this. Nice control from Jerem. Does see the cav approaching and puts them into the town center. But, and that one is going to be fine as well. Did, however, get about down to half life. 600 wood coming out. So
I feel like he might have needed the sepoy there, but he just also really needs houses, so he might have not been able to.
Yeah, I mean, he can send Sepoy next. I mean, right now he doesn't need them, and if he did send them, you know, sometimes you can really overreact, I think, to things like a really super far forward blockhouse, and that's exactly what Russia wants you to do. They don't want you to invest, you know, with the 600 wood into something like market upgrades and houses, and obviously, as you can see here, the consulate, things he needs, right? And overreacting like that would be a win basically for Russia. Second blockhouse.
Oh, and this time he did actually get a market quite early, and he has hunting dogs already.
Yeah, he has hunting dogs, and has the potential now that his 700 wood shipment of his own has arrived to get steel traps as well, perhaps, and maybe a mining upgrade, something like that. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
Gurkha coming out.
700 wood has arrived, and I imagine will be mostly used for houses. Gurkha coming out indeed, and they are certainly going to be quite good against the musketeers here. But where is the Russian army going?
Good question. Sure. I guess he's just making sure there's no sneaky...
There's no villagers over there or something like that gathering from this hunt that he's now standing on. I don't know where he was going, but either way, it's not really a big deal. Perhaps I think I am. Well, I wonder what he's waiting for. Let's take a look at the.
You actually had it in his stable as well, and he did send the 300 export.
Stable. Yeah. I mean, Strele are something he's going to have to deal with as well. Cavalry's certainly very good against those.
Actually. So
I
guess he's worried about the massive Cossack army that was very effective in his previous series in this matchup.
Yeah, maybe learning from that. It is interesting. It's clearly the cavalry is concerned about, otherwise you wouldn't create the Zambaraks.
Unless he's worried about a Russian fast fortress with 2 falconets.
Yeah. What do you think of a sort of Gurkha Zambarak composition then, instead of a Sepoy and something else composition?
I'm not sure. I mean, the Gurkha do outrange Strelets.
Yeah.
But Zamaraks are pretty weak.
Yeah, and they...
I mean, they only have 120 hit points. That's not a lot.
Third blockhouse coming in as well. So... when the Indian resources run out, he's gonna have to deal with 3 blockhouses, which locks down this hunt on the left and this hunt on the right, and also locks down every single hunt behind the blockhouses as well. Russia is effectively just standing here, waiting, starving him out, and
Jerome really needs to hurt this towards his TC. It's very important, and maybe try to get this one. It's just so important for him.
He's gonna need some hunts, right? Like
yeah, he does have 2 berry boots, which helps. But he really needs to start hurting.
This location is really locked down. 3 blockhouses is really, really good. It's not that he necessarily can sustain unit production at all 3 of them simultaneously, but it's effectively 3 outposts in the area on what is effectively every single hunt in the game. He has to, if Jerem wants to get to any of them, bar this one that you were mentioning he ought to herd, which I agree with, and he ought to do that soon. He can't get any other hunt, right? 3 blockhouses, absolutely lock that down, and a stable being added in as well, so that he can access cavalry should he need to.
And it's not just that these are outposts; they also just give 5 population, so they are not useless for Russia when they are not being pushed.
That's true.
Blockhouses are very efficient.
They're so good. Yeah, you can just afford to lay them down because, you know, outposts are good, so are barrackses. And lo and behold, 5 population is a nice bit of compensation as well. And as the game goes on, he will approach the economy required to train from all 3. Yeah, but this is the only hunt India has left now, and it is going to run out. Not for a while, but it will run out. Is this what Russia's going to do then? He's just going to sit here and wait for the whole game, or is he waiting for a critical mass, or perhaps boyars to hit, something like that? What do you make of it?
I'm assuming he's waiting for a big, nice mass with boyars.
Yeah.
Just is doing the starvation thing to, like, prevent him from really going fortress comfortably. He's also denying, well, not really denying, but contesting this mine somewhat, making it a bit more difficult for India to really claim it as his own. Yes, it's close to the aggro, but it's also quite close to 3 blockhouses.
Yeah. It is a mine he's going to have to start using soon, as well as the one on the kind of back of his base. But this mine, I feel like, is perhaps one he ought to save for later, since it is perhaps more defendable as it is behind his base as opposed to out on a limb in front of it. 3 Gardner Hussars, he's going to use them to raid, does pick up a villager, but the Cossack army of Russia is going to respond to
India
these.
pushing out, actually.
Yeah, India is pushing out, and these Cossacks going to get caught by the Zambaraks and maybe take a few hits, and as a result of that, yes, the mobilization of the Strelay and Musket army has emerged. Gurkha and Zambarak en masse. This is actually a pretty effective army. Russia, though, I think might have, well, clearly has well, no, he does not have, he has the population advantage, but that perhaps is not the best indicator since Russian units are weaker, but...
yeah, and the Cossacks were spending a lot of time just running around, trying to get to the Gurkha. And meanwhile, these gardeners are still killing villagers down here. Boyars has now arrived, but the Cossacks are all dead, and there's only a couple of strategies left.
Yeah.
I think India is going to win this fight, actually. Maybe not completely annihilate the Russian forces here.
Yeah, Gurkha really strong though. I mean, he's not kiting back, but he can't really. Where is he going to kite to? That's the problem. Russia now going to walk back towards his Strelay and Musket. Yeah, he needs. So keeping the Gurkha on the back, they have more range, and that's easy to do, I suppose. But what needs to keep them alive? Those things are really, really good against the muskets, and that's something Somppu's going to have to deal with pretty quick.
He's even calling in his minimum for this fight.
Yeah. But more Indian units coming from the front. If Somppu really ought to be fighting this next to his blockhouses, right? Like that's what they were for, to add in some extra defense, but he's not on the blockhouses at all.
Yeah, but I still think he's gonna push this back, but he lost a lot of villagers, and more importantly, gave Europe to gather quite a bit of coin here safely from this mine.
Yeah. But he wins this fight, and we were anticipating that Jerem would have to push out eventually and deal with these 3 blockhouses, but completely bypasses that. Does eliminate the Russian army and now has full access to whatever resources he likes. There are some Russian units in his base, and then the Gurkha there are going to get cleaned up. But I think there are enough Indian units remaining to sort this out, and it won't be a problem. But actually, maybe India just has the stronger economy. I mean, he certainly does now, and as a result of that, was able to mass enough units and take advantage of the units that India does have access to, those sort of Fortress Age style units. Is a bit of a raid going on here. I'm sure some people will notice that, and you can't really fight that back. I'd say there's that Hussar and the Sour is adequate to kill all those vills.
He already lost 9 villagers.
Jerem's in a really good spot right now.
Oh yeah, he's massively had an ego due to this really good raid with 2 cavalry units.
Yeah. He's so far ahead, especially when you factor in foreign logging and distributivism as well. Like, those 2 cards are adding a lot here to his economy.
Yeah, he's 15 population ahead.
So perhaps a mistake from Somppu to not fight under his blockhouses, do you think? But had he, perhaps he couldn't do that. Maybe India, he was going to go and stand on top of the food that he was collecting, so he had to go out and meet him. Does, however, get his Cossacks on top of the cucumbers here. Is going to take them out. The Zambaraks, though, are now in range of the Strelay. Not too good. He's going to have to get back there. And there looks like enough Russian units to adequately deal with this. Those Zambaraks not going to be too useful for fighting because there's not enough of them left. Too close to the skirmishes. They're all going to go down. And as a result of that, the Cossacks are going to have free reign on the Gurkha. But just in time, we do see some reinforcing Zambaraks, and they are able to take out the Cossacks adequately.
Rome is just really running out of hunt, though. I mean, soon he is going to need to go for this hunt, and it's so far away. It's actually closer to Somppu's infrastructure than his infrastructure.
That's true. But yeah, but given that he's look at the economy population, right? He's going to be able to remass. Oh, he's going to gather here, is he? Maybe that's a better place to gather because it's easier to get to, right? He doesn't have to go through these blocks.
It actually is pretty smart.
There's not many hunts left there, though.
It's about as far away from his military production as it is from Somppu's.
Yeah, chasing down these Strelay, though. The last few going to be eliminated here. And India, the superior economy, really kicking in as he's able to field more units. And all 5 musketeers do pop out, but 3 of them are dead due to the range and obviously multipliers that the Gurkha do offer, and now going to return to sieging this blockhouse here.
I'm not sure if he should be
Look
sieging
at these villagers.
blockhouses
They're just looking for food. They're so hungry. They need to find something. They're going to build a castle by the looks. It is going to invest in that. 5 Cossacks do
but
arrive
now
though,
that sucks.
and that could be exactly what he needs to swing the villager count in his favor. Jerem responding immediately to it, abandoning the siege of the blockhouse to defend his peons. But he
These
just.
Cossacks should not fight. They just need to focus these villagers as many as he can.
Do you think
That's
so?
his hope.
He doesn't want to lose the units though either.
They can't get away from the Zambareks anyway.
Yeah, there's only 3
villagers in there.
Zambareks, so like he is able to kill a lot of villagers as a result of there not being that many anti-cavalry. As it turns out, Sepoy and Gurkha at range aren't that good against cavalry. Does manage to get a few, but really the economic score is still very much in favour. But still a nice raid. 4 more Cossacks do arrive if he can keep them a secret. Look at that, the gold mining villagers are heading out to another mine, and they are going to be found by the Cossacks.
Fight the villagers! Don't go back, just fight the villagers!
Well, maybe he's in range of these. Can he get the last one? If he can get... No, he's going to turn around. Yeah, all of the Zambareks do go down. And now he's going to be able to get a couple villagers here before the Sepoy and Gurkha army are in range, but is going to retreat just as they do get into range, getting as much damage on that as he could. He's really running the India player around, buying himself a lot of time to keep these 2 blockhouses up.
There, but they are not really doing anything.
3 more Cossacks do pop out. Really, really nice. Keeping these villagers very harassed. 1 does go down. There's another really low HP one. I'd really like to see him focus that, but does not do that. Strele army is a bit close. He's going to have to get back there, but really doing a nice job. Look, the blockhouses are still up. They're still firing away. They're shooting at reinforcing India units from that, of course, Agra 4, and of course the stable as well. So getting a lot of value out of these blockhouses, and just causing the India player to run around like a madman. He's not able to focus on anything in particular here. So Sompu, despite...
Take down his stable, he does not want more Cossacks popping out of his hunt.
Yeah, you're right. He doesn't want any more. But good unit control. Every time Blue gets close enough in range, he does turn around and start shooting. Isn't going to take any random damage for free on his units there. But, yeah, stable does go down. Strele do pop out.
So strange where Jerome is hunting, though.
Yeah, it is quite an odd game as to... He does have the castle. There is some security there should some random raid pop out. But this fight, I think, might be the defining one of the game. India does have a reasonable... Sorry, Russia does have a reasonable mass, but it is mostly just Strele, which just don't trade very cost-effectively. Well, they trade cost-effectively, but not in these numbers. You need more of them, obviously. Is focusing down the Sepoy, though, with the Strele and getting the most out of those multipliers. So doing a really good job of actually selecting the right unit. But as you mentioned, Sawar's joining the fray. He's going to need Musketeers popping out now, but he does not have any in queue and has sent both of his Cossack shipments. So these Strele are effectively dead. There is no way that these can survive here against the Sawars.
29-hand attack.
Yeah, they're very, very strong at this point, given that cavalry combat and the martial arts has arrived. Does clean it up, though. Actually has access to, of course, the Redcoats, which I had forgotten about, and has managed to get those out of the British consulate that he has now allied to. So, but they are a little bit late.
Oh, and again.
Oh, what am I talking about? They're fucking Indian units, not Russian units at all. Just ignore me. Yeah, more raids.
I think that Sompu is gonna call GG here soon. He is somewhat cleaning up this Indian army with some Strelids, but he's just losing so many villagers.
Yeah, but he can get them in that blockhouse once it goes up. He's just waiting for it to build. It's a shame you can only have 4 now. They're going to jump inside, I would imagine. Yeah, now getting inside there. I don't think the second blockhouse will go down. But the fight's still at the 2 blockhouses here. India's still not on top of this. And the amount of...
Yeah, Jerome needs to stop fighting on this blockhouse until he gets more cavalry.
Yeah, but the problem is whenever he creates a new batch of units that come from any of his production facilities, they usually walk past these blockhouses, and as a result of that are going to take some... The amount of value he's gotten from these blockhouses, irrespective of his position in the game, is actually enormous. And the hunting is so weird, because there's this castle in between these 2 blockhouses, and then another 2 blockhouses below the castle. It's just madness where they are gathering
the map
from.
is actually running out of hunts. Both players are relatively soon going to need to get to mills and rice paddies. Yeah,
you are right, and there are some hunts left that Jerem can fight for, but I think it's not going to matter the fact that they are going to have to move on to those buildings soon, because I think Jerem finally has managed to get on top of this position and has managed to take out that final blockhouse, reclaiming his plateau that he started on. These Strelay do arrive just at the last moment, however, to only die to Sawaz and a Tiger Claw army. And now he has, I think, the army, and of course, you know, Russia no longer has that position. As you're mentioning, he can now claim these hunts, and Russia does not have the forces to claim those. So yeah, Jerem has every hunt remaining on the map under his control, and that's,
and he still has
if
two full
not
berry
anything
bushes
else.
as well.
Yeah, berry bushes, you know, has a lot of food, but like if not anything else, those hunts are going to win him the game.
And Russia actually needs to go to mills. He's out of hunt.
He is out of hunt.
Mills now.
I mean, there's a couple of hunts down here, but really not enough to sustain. Yeah, I mean, his last stand, by the looks of it, is going to be at these 3 blockhouses, but providing Jerem plays this right and doesn't, you know, just continues to gather those hunts and defend the hunts that he has, eventually Somppu is just not going to be able to sustain the production that he can, because he's going to have to spend things like 400 wood on a mill, which he has just now built, as you can see, which not only gathers slowly, it's just an enormous investment. You can see that score, it's almost double.
Actually, Somppu does have 2 mill cards in his deck, which he could send, so if he can get away with this, if Yoram doesn't do something relatively soon, Somppu could actually get a somewhat decent food economy going.
Yeah, he could get the...
They are actually quite good.
Yeah, once you get them established, that's certainly good. But hunts, though, you know, the thing is, Jerem does not have to invest that enormous amount of wood into a rice paddy, right? Instead, those villager seconds that that would be on trees chopping wood for the rice paddy, they're actually, you know, being converted into military units. So, just as a facet of that, there's going to be more orange military, and eventually it doesn't matter if there's 3 blockhouses in this location that he has to push into. He's just going to have more units than Russia could hope to feel. Like, you can already see the effects of this, right?
For sure. Yoram is not gonna give Somppu the 10 minutes or whatever he needs.
Yeah, he certainly needs a long... Yeah. I mean, given long enough, I agree with you. The food economy is there, but... yeah, no, we do see some...
I think there's even some siege elephants.
Flail elephants, yeah, which have
from the castle.
92 siege damage, and of course not very effective against anything except buildings, and as a result, you know, this is going to speed up the pressure on these buildings.
1.5 bonus against infantry, don't underestimate them.
Oh, okay, alright. 5-hand attack.
They are quite good against cavalry, or not cavalry, artillery.
Yeah.
They have a ×4.
That must really hurt the elephant to flail his trunk around like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's not very realistic.
No, I don't think so. I don't really think elephants have that much force behind their trunk. I'm not certain.
No.
Anyway, for a video game, it works.
Like to have that strapped to his trunk.
No, I don't think so. I wonder how they tame all these elephants as well. But India does have an enormous army here. Yarom going to be pushing in. A wall is going up for Somppu. That's his last-ditch effort, and he's replacing some of the blockhouses in this base. Somppu just went up to fortress. If it, like, he is now... I guess you have to take that risk, right? Because maybe you have to go up to fortress and just pray that your opponent doesn't notice you do that and doesn't see.
If he somehow sent these 9 Manchu, I guess he might have a chance.
Yeah, he's gaining the resources for it by the looks of it. He's got, I mean, it's one of his only options given that he doesn't have any hunt. Maybe that's what he's thinking. I need to get up to fortress, send a mercenary shipment, and hope that I can stay in fortress long enough to make use of the upgrades that are available there, and of course the shipments as well. Maybe at this point in the game you do have to take that risk and pray your opponent doesn't notice you hit up or something silly. Somppu has resigned there, not being forced to resign until this army is on top of his actual base next to his starting town center. He knows that there is no way, there is nothing left here for him, and that,
maybe
as a result...
like 6, what are they called, Oprishniks, and just like sneak them in here and hope Yoram falls back with his entire army to go kill those 6 Oprishniks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 5 in a best of 5 series between Jerem and SomppuKunkku. This is, of course, our final match in this series. The next victory will take the series, and the winner will progress through to the round of 16. The loser will be eliminated. Going into this series, I thought SomppuKunkku was the stronger player, but actually, Jerem proving to us that he is very capable. He won the very first game in the series, and he won the previous game that we just watched as well. And now, as a result of that, this final match is the big one. Somppu does have to pick first in this particular matchup and has selected India. And in response to that, Jerem gets the more favorable pick, which is definitely something he probably really values, because this is the final game, which, everything comes down to this. So, has selected Ottoman in response to India, and we will see how that works out for him. But by the looks of it, Ottoman tracking down, of course, that trading post there, and does find a sheep. And it's going to be pretty pleased about that. I wonder if he'll make use of his crack shot on that 90 coin treasure. But potentially not, because if he does that, then it's very exposed and can be easily picked up by the opponent. But nice to get that recharging. India, however, is going to benefit from the sheep on this map, and is going to be able to find them quite nicely, given that he has 2 explorers, and his opponent spends the first 30 seconds of the game, the first minute of the game, actually, constructing a trading post. But Ottoman vs India for our first game, our final match in this series. Map looks balanced according to Chrisie. Good job he was checking that whilst I was covering the early portion of this game. No treasures taken by Somppu other than those starting ones in his base there, which not particularly big.
Ones,
and now we do have a bit of a standoff over the 90 coin treasure, and by the looks of it, the Iroquois Tomahawk as well. The, of course, Indian explorer is in the area. He's going to tackle the Ottoman explorer. The bear is coming back. It will reset. Both of the bears are going to reset there. And I think that was nicely done, because, now if he wants to go back, he's going to have to spend even more time doing that, whilst his opponent can, search for the goats and things like that. Second elephant coming in. Do you think he's going to go back and contest this even further?
I do think so, because this Tomahawk is actually quite relevant.
He doesn't know it's a Tomahawk yet, though. He just knows there's black bears. Okay. He could anticipate, 80 food or anything else that the black bears can guard. Is going to head back with 1 explorer, and is going to let that guardian reset again, luring him back towards the other elephant.
In this matchup, it's actually quite relevant due to both players, or both civs rather, liking to have forward bases and such, and this Tomahawk can do quite a bit of damage to random villagers just building an aggro or building a blockhouse or whatever.
Yeah,
or
you're
a barracks.
Absolutely right. And
he also has a decent bit of siege.
Yeah, and against an Indian opponent, maybe he can harass that aggro fort and be a pain in the ass. I do imagine we'll see a defensive aggro anyway, so perhaps the damage will be limited since he may be able to access his town center. But either way, this is quite a strong unit. 170 hit points with a ranged attack of 16 melee damage. Melee. It's a strong unit. It's got more HP than a musketeer, and it is definitely a nice pickup, though. India has found some good treasures too. 90 food is definitely good, and 60 food here as well. So, there's still a few of these moderately guarded treasures around. There is another Tomahawk on the map, actually.
There's also a wolf pup.
Wolf pup, yeah, you can get quite the scouting army
60
going.
wood actually on the bottom of the map, which is pretty nice. 90 food over here.
Yeah, and those are all on the sort of left, sort of this quadrant is, I think, something Somppu is going to be able to exploit much better. But, that could all change should the Ottoman player get his Tomahawk over here. But I'm not necessarily sure who had the better age 1 here. I think, there's still quite a lot of treasures to go. But either way,
I
second...
think Somppu got a better one.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, he got a lot more treasures, but... Of course, that is a lot because you're obviously getting TPs.
Yeah, I wonder, he's going to siege the aggro fort, and, no villagers building that, so it's going to take a while to research. It does research, obviously, slowly on its own, but going to be up with quite a bit of damage, and, 10 siege damage, which is being multiplied by 4, is quite a lot. So this Tomahawk really doing some work, and I wonder how impactful that will be, given that his opponent...
The aggro fort repairs automatically while it's being built. Because it's kind of aging up, so...
Alright.
Those notice, wait, of course, this doesn't actually do anything, so why am I sieging this?
I have managed to... Oh no, I completely destroyed it. You don't know how much HP it has, but you can destroy them with a large enough army before it's even built.
Yeah, it repairs quite slowly.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I am aware of this. Yeah. Does it delay the age up?
Because it would be a bit ridiculous that you do 4 times damage to this.
Yeah, I guess then you would always just siege it. That would just be you explore it every game. The optimal thing to do would be to go and find it. Yeah, maybe it just went idle for a bit then, something like that. But does invest in a second trading post quite early on. Does SomppuKunkku gets that up during transition by the looks of it. First shipment has arrived.
It's Jerome actually. That has a second.
So
SomppuKunkku stole one.
Oh yeah. Jerem.
And there's
By
barracks.
Somppu, when I said Somppu, I meant Jerem. I meant the Ottoman player, and Jerem is the Ottoman player. So got two trading posts and 700 wood coming down as well.
Another 90 food treasure for SomppuKunkku being picked up.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, SomppuKunkku is going to be quite late in actually producing armor, but it seems that Jerome doesn't even care about pushing. He just wants to get this TP down and just take the entire TP line, ship Silk Road, get Stagecoach, and just have a ridiculous economy.
Yeah. He hasn't... well, he's going for a colonial-based agenda then, you know, with that 700 wood, by the looks of it, he's going to be adding in that foundry, and of course he's going to be researching some maybe Stagecoach, but given that his opponent does have that trading post there, perhaps not. But using the units that he has trained to siege it down, and then perhaps he might want to invest in something like that. But perhaps not, does need the houses if he's going to maintain Abyss gun production, but certainly a worthwhile investment.
For sure. But if he does take the entire
he does
TP
take
line
it, but
research,
apparently... Go ahead.
And Silk Road, this is 15 villagers.
Does he have Silk Road? He hasn't sent that.
Not yet, but once he does, it's about 15 villagers with all 3 TPs.
Oh, that's pretty good. Stagecoach was being researched, but apparently it doesn't show up in the text being researched section.
It does
Oh,
not.
I didn't know that. Well, okay, so he did spend
villagers
200
being
wood.
harassed here by the elephants. Stomp on the villagers.
Oh my god. What a cough coming through.
The problem is, of course, there's like a bunch of Abyss and Seapoy now that can just walk in here, and there's like 3 Gurkha to defend it.
Hmm.
Stable and Consulate coming up.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Hirom is actually missing forward, and I guess he's waiting for another pass of the Stagecoach before he builds that 3rd TP. Actually, no, he's going with 1 villager to chop wood. I'm not sure if that was needed, unless these trading posts are not on wood, of course.
He does have,
They are on food.
Okay, well, he's gotten that trading post down now. Maybe he was gathering the last bit of wood he needed and got the last bit of wood from a trading post. And either way, does have that constructed, is going to have a full route, and has sent 700 and 600 gold, which will result in the ability to spam quite the number of Abyss guns whilst every villager basically stays on food. Does have some villagers on gold still.
It seems that one of the Stagecoaches was on coin and 1 on food, 1 on wood. I'm not entirely sure. We'd have to look more because you can obviously change them around, but it's quite difficult to see, especially once he gets more and more villagers.
Yeah, either way, you know, he can supply the resources he needs. The point to be taken home here is that a lot of Abyss guns are going to be hitting the ground now, and he's got a very nice economy to back this up. India, though, what's he going to do?
Yeah, he's ahead by about 2-ish villagers. Hirom, that is.
Yeah.
With the Stagecoach being counted in. Actually, no, he did not ship the Silk Road yet, so he's actually behind on villagers. But Stagecoach is still just really, really good. Being equal in economy as the Ottoman player at 8 minutes 20 with an India player is pretty good. Especially an India player that has sent the settlers from the Ottoman consulate. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I was worried for a moment.
4 sours do arrive, though.
Yeah, and he's only... This is a lot of Abyss.
It is a lot of Abyss.
Ignore the range resist of the Soars, so...
Yeah, they do. That's right. They do they do siege damage.
Both elephants being still alive though, but they are quite low HP. But they can get a nice stomp on these Abyss guns.
Yeah. And here comes the sentries as well, in a nice position to do some damage to the Abyss guns. Does have the supporting fire of the Agrafort and the town centre here. The Sawars, though, almost all gone. And that'll just be Gurkha versus Abyss. I don't know if he's done enough to kill as many Abyss as he needs to.
Once this final elephant goes down, until the next batch of Soars comes out, Hirom is in a lot of trouble. Oh, not Hirom, SomppuKunkku.
I'd say the trade was fairly even, given all of this supporting fire and the sentries and stuff.
Yeah, so Hirom did lose quite a lot of expensive units. 10 Abyss guns being lost is not something you really want to happen, even with these triple Stagecoach TPs.
Yeah. What's next on his agenda?
It's a good question. It's difficult to say because at the moment Jerome is really denying much of the map. But the problem is the more time India gets, he might be able to catch up because this TP, like, until Silk Road, like, he can send Silk Road and that's about as far as he can boom with
700 food
time.
coming out as well. By the looks of it, going to fund more unit production with that. But something the Ottoman player did manage to force. He actually lost a lot of Abyss guns, but he did manage to send, or force his opponent to send the 4 Sours and the 5 Sepoy as well. So he does have that to his credit. By the looks of it, Sepoy coming in, and there are no longer any Janissaries to defend against these cavalry. The Gardner Hussars do arrive as well, and the Abyss gun's not going to be able to escape because, of course, the cavalry do have that snaring effect and are able to catch up with the Abyss. Looks like he's going to be able to pick off these final 4 for free, and that, sadly for Jerem, is really big. He now, he really needed those, especially considering that the amount of villages he's able to create over time is not particularly good. He does have the 3 stagecoaches working for him, but I think overall, India are pretty happy about his position.
Yeah, I just look at the text completed and it's not pretty. SomppuKunkku has literally every single market upgrade there is to be had.
Yeah.
So, the villagers are quite in favor of India due to all these economic upgrades.
Yeah, Hussars and the Sowars and of course the Hussars approaching the space here. They are seen by, of course, the houses, and as a result of that, Jerem is able to retask these cavalry and scare them away. But is going to be putting some raiding pressure on, but doesn't manage to pick up any villages here. As you mentioned, all the market techs for the red player. All he has to do is, foreign logging is arriving as well. By the looks of it, I imagine waiting for. Let's take a look at what units he has in queue. Well, he needs to do something, right? He's probably waiting for a couple more units, and then he's going to push out and start to deal with his trading post.
He doesn't even need to deal with those trading posts at the moment, really. He just needs to not die.
You think so?
He's ahead by 10 villagers or something, I'd say.
I mean, at the moment, the Orange Army is... he doesn't know where that is. Maybe he could, sneak out and do some damage to that trading post, but equally... something to think about is not being too far out of position. He doesn't want to expose his units. He wants to stay close to his agri fort and his production facilities and his town centre and his shipment points and things like that. Doesn't want to get caught off guard. As you mentioned, just wants to stay alive, perhaps. He does have all of those market upgrades. He knows that and has to have a superior villager economy as well. I do wonder how much those trading posts are adding, though, and how much... It's going to be a big...
12.
Okay, so he's definitely still ahead, even if you factor those in. But it's got to be an itch on SomppuKunkku's shoulder, right? He knows that those trading posts are working away for the Ottoman player, and he wants to do something about that, but he's going to have to, battle that sort of, I don't want to get caught off guard here. Equally, though, Jerem knows the longer this goes, the worse it is for him. Really, much of this build, this aggression he put on was fueled off the back of the shipments, that 700 and 600 gold shipment, and then those 3 Hussars arriving as well in the fight, and didn't really manage to do too much lasting damage, perhaps. Just had a trade off with his Abyss against his opponent's Gurkha and the Sours that were there as well, and as you mentioned, lost a lot of Abyss and perhaps a lot of momentum with it. At this point, score is definitely in favour of Sompu, and I do wonder what Jerem has to do at this point.
At the moment, I think Jerom's best bet is probably try to deny the map to Sompu, because if Sompu can't get to this and this hunt, he's gonna have a difficult time in the next coming minutes to properly produce military units.
Yeah.
Camel attack arriving,
and that might signal go time, right? The Sours are now much stronger. Here we go. Looks like we are going to have a fight on our hands. He doesn't want to fight next to his town centre. This is go time. Camel attack has arrived and he's ready to go. Hussar's definitely better than Sours in one-to-one combat, but does have some supporting fire from the Zambaraks in the back, and of course the Gurkhas on the front, and of course those melee sepoys as well. All of the Hussars do go down, and now the Sepoy, sorry, the Gurkha, not the fucking cavalry, the red cavalry can move on to the Abyss guns and do some damage. GGWP is coming out there. Artillery attack coming in just too late.
Although I'm not sure
says.
it would have helped very much there, but...
Yeah, I agree. There weren't that many Abyss guns. But game number 5 does go to SomppuKunkku, and that is the game that really matters here in this best of 5 series, given the score is 2-2. Jerem is eliminated, and SomppuKunkku will find himself in the round of 16, getting quite far into this tournament. And to be honest, if somebody said, "Oh, Sompu's going to win this series," to me, I wouldn't have been surprised if that were the outcome. But a 2 2 games, a 2-2 series, resulting in all 5 games. Jerem definitely showing to us that he is very competent at Age of Empires 3. A really nice series. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Anything to add?
Well, I'm a bit sad we didn't get to see Rom's best Civ, of course.
No Dutch today.
Especially his base building as Dutch is just phenomenal. It's actually really great to see just how he abuses every single building in his base, just placing it with such precision. Just you see, wow, there's a perfect wall there, and it's just actually beautiful to see him play Dutch.
Yeah, Jerem definitely very good as Dutch. Always been his favorite Civ, and did not show us them today. So is and still is able to go 2-2 in a series, and then doesn't pick up that final game, but clearly competent with other civilizations as well. Just a shame he didn't get to play Dutch. Didn't find the opportunity to do that. We do have a donation coming in by the looks of it. Thank you very much, William Wallace 30, for a $15 donation. This tournament is brought to you by ESO-community.net. Thank you for tuning in today, everyone. And that $15, as well as the 50 earlier from Goodspeed, I believe.
I do think it was Goodspeed.
Yeah, thoroughly appreciated, and of course will be contributed to the prize pool of our next tournament. Really, that is what enables us to keep doing these tournaments more regularly. The more donations, the more of these tournaments we can do. But
this is all voluntarily, of course, from the entire community, bringing you more Age of Empires, because clearly people want to see more of it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. The fact that we can stream this game, and we had 400 viewers. And then sadly the stream went down, so that was a shame. But had the stream stayed up, perhaps that would have... Anyway, there's an audience for that, and that is really, really satisfying to see. So thank you for the money there. We do host the biggest Age of Empires 3 forum on the internet, so if you haven't seen us before, do check that out if you would like to keep up to date with the scene. My name has been Interjection, cast alongside...
Chrisie, 10101.
That's my favorite bit, when you go 101, 101, 101. I love that. But we are done here today. Coming up next on the show, we do have H2O vs JS Simmons 1289. And casting that will be, of course, myself and Chrissie. But I think we're going to take a quick break, grab a glass of water, and see if we actually have time for that series, because we might need to skip on over. By the looks of it, Irish Faithful vs Soldier was supposed to start 9 minutes ago, and we just completely skipped over H2O vs JS Simmons. So we'll figure all of this out, and we will be back with the next series pretty soon.